Overtaking on the left remains one of my personal pet hates, mainly because it is usually accompanied with very poor attitudes and very poor understanding. I follow a number of dashcam groups online, and one particular group, there's a person that very often posts pretty good videos, drawing attention to things in the highway code that people may not be aware of, and also raising awareness of things that could get you penalty points, etc. So generally pretty good videos. However, in one particular video a couple of months ago, they filmed themselves in lane 1 of a dual carriageway, catching up to vehicles in lane 2, and then proceeding to overtake a number of those vehicles on the inside. Some of those vehicles, yes, they should have been moving back into the left lane. However, overtaking on the inside is not the answer. In the video, he's not in congested conditions and therefore is not permitted to overtake on the inside. As is usual on this particular dashcam group, many people were quick to congratulate him on making progress and saw absolutely nothing wrong with what he was doing. Many of them blamed the people in lane 2 for sitting there for too long. And also, as is usual on this particular dashcam group, anyone that mentioned overtaking on the inside and that they shouldn't be doing it was quickly subjected to many silly comments and very poor knowledge and understanding being displayed. I myself pointed out that I found the video quite disappointing because if there was a traffic officer in the area, you'd very likely find yourself getting pulled over and charged with careless driving. The person in question who posted this video is very knowledgeable on the highway code and is a very aware and good driver from what I see. However, they do display a poor attitude when it comes to overtaking on the left. After a few messages between ourselves, and I will say they were all done with good manners, which is nice, which makes a nice change, we agreed to disagree. And it ended with him saying this: "I will continue to overtake as I did in situations like this, as for me, its risk is low. I take full responsibility that should a car move left and collide, that my actions potentially contribute to the collision, but I mitigate those risks by overtaking at a suitable speed and cover the brake to react as quick as possible to a change in the road ahead." This is where I would try to encourage people that do have a bit of an attitude to overtaking on the left to try and think a little bit differently. If this person's attitude sounds like something you would say, then do keep watching. As human beings, one of our many flaws is that we very often just do not see the problem until it's too late, until we have experienced catastrophic consequences. The attitudes of "it'll never happen to me," it's always someone else. To me, the very simplest way of describing this is the hot stove scenario. So as children, we're often told not to touch a hot stove, and we know we're not meant to touch it, but we haven't experienced those consequences for ourselves. So very often we do actually touch it, and then we realize why we should not have touched that hot stove. Now, the person that posted the original video and that I was chatting to had a very lucky experience recently, and I think now their overtaking on the left attitude has changed slightly. They posted a video at night on a motorway, and they are in lane 3, overtaking traffic in lane 1 and 2, and behind them in lane 3 is a motorbike. Once they've completed the overtake of the vehicles in lane 2, he goes to move back in, and his passenger shouts, "There's a bike!" And he doesn't move and complete the lane change. At that moment in time, the motorbike has decided to now overtake on the left, which of course they should not do. But the person in the dashcam group held their hands up and said my observations were not good enough. But they wanted other people's thoughts on this event. Now think about if the passenger had not been there. The consequences could have been absolutely shocking of the person moving back into lane 2 and hitting the bike, especially with traffic following in both lanes 1 and 2. The consequences could have been horrendous. I put this comment on, and that's why we don't overtake on the left. Cue people telling me it's fine. It can catch even experienced drivers out. Usually this person rushes to respond to any comments on the videos, in particular if they don't agree. However, there's been no response. What I'm hoping is that this person, and I'm pretty sure this is the case, has had a bit of a light bulb moment where they've realized that bike was not seen by me. I did not expect that bike to be here. And even though I had a check, I didn't see him. And I went to move back in and I could have hit that bike. So hopefully that person has realized that when they've been overtaking people on the left in the past, that's exactly the scenario that they are risking. Think about this: when someone is hogging the middle lane or an overtaking lane, you should assume that that person is not aware of their surroundings. They are driving without due care and attention, and it can get you done with careless driving if you are hogging an overtaking lane or a middle lane. At any moment, that person could wake up, come back to reality, come out of the zombie driving and go, oh, I'm in the middle lane, and without properly checking, move back in, and they won't expect you to be there. Yes, they are at fault for being in the middle lane or the overtaking lane, and yes, they are at fault for not checking properly, but you should not be the second wrong in that situation. Overtaking on the inside is risking bad consequences. On my overtaking on the left video before, one of the biggest things people have said was it's safer to stay in lane 1 and overtake someone like that rather than move, say, to lane 3 to overtake, because more lane changes is more risky. And my thing on that would be, if you're causing risk by changing lanes, you're not doing it properly. No lane change should cause risk. My absolute pet hate is the second wrong. Anyone that sees someone doing something wrong and puts another wrong in that situation, you are the people that cause the incidents. There's even a GCM channel that I follow. That's a police officer who does a number of videos, and he's done one recently on undertaking. Annoyingly, it's called Undertaking, but he says, and the words he uses is, you cannot undertake on the motorway. I'll put a link in the description to the video. He doesn't use the words you should not, try and avoid it. He says you cannot overtake on the left. Towards the end of the video, he says the bare minimum you're looking at is due care. So being charged with careless driving, driving without due care and attention, or even dangerous driving. The motorbike in that situation, if they were seen, would have been charged with dangerous driving. So to those people again that think overtaking on the left is fine, it's not. Try and change your attitude to it. But as always, let me know your view in the comments. Do you still see no problem with overtaking on the left? Can you not be bothered to move over to the right to overtake? Yes, I agree there's a problem with people's lane discipline, but they come under the same charge. Careless driving, okay? So if you're hogging a middle lane of a motorway and the police decide to pull you over and charge you, you'll be charged with careless driving. If you overtake on the inside and the police decide to pull you over and charge you, you'll be charged with careless driving. Exactly the same level of badness. Dangerous driving, though, can often accompany overtaking on the inside.